Disinformation never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. I'm Marko Suprun, and this week we look at the following fakes. U.S. intelligence finds reasons for regime change in Ukraine. Europe denies Donbas pensions, and Ukrainian soldiers reject proposed patriotic greeting. So let's get to the details. Last week, the Russian newspaper Vzгляд featured an article claiming that the U.S. intelligence community's worldwide threat assessment concluded that Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko may not last until Ukraine's 2019 presidential elections. Vzгляд further claimed that this conclusion is supported by the latest polls, and most Ukrainians were in favor of holding early elections. Many Russian propaganda sites picked up this fake and added their own embellishments, claiming that President Petro Poroshenko, having received a black mark from the Americans, was embittered, that he was losing power and could follow in his predecessor's footsteps and flee Ukraine. Russian media conveniently forgot the most salient aspects of the worldwide threat assessment regarding Ukraine, namely that Russia will continue its military, political, and economic destabilization campaign against Ukraine to stymie and, where possible, reverse Kyiv's efforts to integrate with the EU and strengthen ties to NATO. Russia will also work to erode Western unity on sanctions and support for Kyiv. Now, regarding President Poroshenko, the assessment states what is widely known, that popular frustrations with slow reforms, low living standards, perceptions of deepening corruption, and political polarization ahead of a scheduled elections in 2019 could bring about early elections. There is no mention of regime change or of a black mark against Poroshenko in the assessment. As for the claim that Ukrainians are in favor of early elections, a recent poll conducted for the International Republican Institute shows that over the course of the last 3 years, 15 to 28% of Ukrainians supported early elections, a number that is very far from a majority. On February 13th, Russian media blared with headlines such as European Court for Human Rights allows Ukraine not to pay out war zone pensions. Kyiv rejoices. European Court says not to pay Donbas seniors. Strasbourg decides Ukraine owes its citizens nothing. Europe leaves Donbas without pensions, declared Svobodnaya Pressa, claiming mendaciously that the European Court wrote off millions of Kyiv's debts to the self-proclaimed Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics and recognized Ukraine's right not to pay pensions and social benefits to people in the occupied territories. Now hold on. What the European Court for Human Rights actually did was to dismiss the lawsuit of pensioners from Donetsk who were challenging a suspension of pension payments and other social benefits before a court in the city where they lived. The European Court ruled against the pensioners, noting that they first had to go through the court system in Ukraine and only after exhausting those possibilities sue in the European Court. The court did not find that the pensioners' access to courts had been violated, pointing out that they had failed to go through the judicial system in Ukrainian-controlled territory to pursue their case. The court made no ruling about alleged millions Kyiv owed to the self-proclaimed republics, and there is no mention of a decision not to pay pensions, as Russian media falsely claimed. The court ruled that the plaintiffs were not discriminated against based on their place of residence, as they had alleged, and pointed out that they were not in the same situation as other residents of Ukraine, as the Ukrainian government did not exercise effective control of their city. Russian media claim that Ukrainian soldiers have rejected the popular post-Maidan revolution greeting "Glory to Ukraine" and are refusing to use it. They cite a recent poll on the pro-Russian site Strana.ua as proof that Ukraine's military has not warmed up to this greeting and overwhelmingly rejects it. The so-called poll carried out by Strana among Ukraine's military regarding the greeting is actually a vox pop of 7 military personnel, 2 of whom support the Glory to Ukraine greeting, 3 who do not, and 2 who are ambivalent. There is no proof that these are in fact real military men, and the entire exercise is far from a legitimate poll, but rather several carefully selected commentaries designed to prop up Strana's phony proposition. Now, Ukraine's military is poised to adopt a new greeting, and appropriate legislation is being drawn up to make Glory to Ukraine official. The phrase became a popular slogan and greeting during the 2013-2014 Maidan Revolution and has entered the Ukrainian mainstream. According to the BBC Ukrainian service, members of the Parliamentary National Security Committee support changing the military greeting, considering the Glory to Ukraine slogan to be patriotic and quite popular among younger military staff. Some Soviet-era officers may not warm up to the new greeting, they said. Military analyst Sviatoslav Stetsenko writes in his blog that it is high time to get rid of Soviet-era trappings in the military. The new greeting sets down a new military tradition, and while it may not completely alter the makeup of Ukraine's armed forces, it will be a morale boost for the patriotically minded, and this is the right thing to do, Stetsenko writes. StopFake has debunked earlier Russian claims that Glory to Ukraine was a Nazi greeting. In fact, this greeting arose initially during the Ukrainian National Republic of 1918 and was later resurrected by the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists and the Ukrainian Insurgent Army during World War II. That's it for this week. For more dissected fakes, visit our website, StopFake.org, where, among other exciting things, you will find the top 5 fakes about Crimea. Give us a click. Be vigilant, respect your mind, and don't consume fakes. If you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, send it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.